Okay, I think we are good to go. We have enough attendees joining, and whoever will be joining us later, we will we can share this recording with him. So welcome. My name is Ishai. I'm a vice president at Argentum Consultants. We are a for-profit consultancy firm specializing in grants, in funding opportunities. Our department at Argentum is responsible for European grants, and this is what we do. This event, we are hosting highly esteemed panelists. David Tayuri from ELTA is from it's a subsidiary of Israeli Air Force Industries, and David is heading the R&D of cybersecurity in this company, and also with us Dr. Valerio Frascola from Intel in Munich. We will introduce them, and they will be able to introduce themselves later. This event is about launching Argentum activities in the civil security, civil society cluster of Horizon Europe. We will be discussing the cluster, the destinations in the clusters, the different calls that we aim to target, and we will have a specific focus on cybersecurity calls. This is why we invited here mostly companies or organizations that are dealing with cybersecurity and have the potentials to form a consortium together. As I mentioned, this is in collaboration with ELTA from Israel and Intel from Germany. Intel and ELTA has participated in consortiums that we have built, consolidated, and submitted before, and we will be very happy to have them in these consortiums as well. We didn't set anything in advance about their role in this consortium. Everything is up for discussion. But we hope that they will be core participants in anything that we will do in this area. Our agenda for today, first we would like to introduce ourselves. For those of you who doesn't know us yet, we will do a short introduction of ourselves. Then we will pass the microphone to David from ELTA and then to Valerio. They will both describe their organization's orientations, roles, and goals in participating in Horizon Europe. Then we will go over the civil society and security cluster of Horizon Europe, and then we will drill down into the relevant calls for proposals that we plan to address. And then we will discuss the next steps with the goals of creating a body of organizations that will together be able to consolidate the consortiums towards submission of a proposal or multiple proposals if it happens. Just to introduce ourselves, we are part of a group of companies that started to work since 1999. We've been working specifically in helping organizations, academias, companies, small and large, in attaining funding from different types of sources, mostly government or European Union or larger organizations. We right now employ over 100 professionals in our group of companies, and we're working with the diverse client base from all types of thematic technologies, areas, domains, and others. Recently, we have started to build a network of participants that will help us build consortium easily and effectively. We have over 120 active participants in consortiums in the last year. We have submitted a lot of proposals in this manner, and we have the ability to consolidate very quickly new consortium ranging 2 to 26 participants. New thing that we added as another service in our group is the Deep Tech Showcase, where we allow small, medium enterprises to showcase to relevant stakeholders in their industries. We are working with customers all over Europe and actually all over the world. Now that I introduced myself, I will transfer the mic to David. Please.
Thank you, Shai. So I'm David Tayuri. I'm the cyber R&D manager in Argentum.
We hear you a little bad. There is some sort of interference. Maybe you can get closer to the mic or something.
Is it better now?
It seems that there's some noise.
Some noise.
Maybe you want to transfer to your computer's phone. Oh. No, now you're muted. Let's try to do it this way. I think we can understand what you're saying.
Okay. I will try to speak loud so you can hear me better. So as I mentioned, I'm David. I'm the cyber R&D manager in ELTA. I will present shortly our company and then our field of interest in R&D. So II Israel Aerospace Industries have 4 groups: aviation, military aircraft, system, missiles and space, and as a system which we will focus on. Next slide, please.
Trying, sorry. Okay.
Yeah. So ELSA is a group and also a subsidiary of II. For 2019, the sales were bigger than $1.2 billion. We are a global company. Most of our solutions go for the export. From the 4,000 employees we have here, 75% of our engineers and scientists. And ELSA is considered as a world-class leader in the fields of radars, air defense, special mission aircraft, land systems, intelligence, and cyber, which is again we are going to focus in. Next.
Next slide.
Yes. Okay. So we can previous one.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we can see here that our solutions in ELTA start from air and space, including the satellites and airplanes. And we have air defense missiles, land radars, and also naval radars. And we have cyber that defends all these capabilities which we have in II and ELTA, and also provide additional capabilities for a national level, as we will see in the next slide. Okay, so mainly our solutions go to national level cyber solutions, including collaboration, forensics, training, and methodology. Specific, some of our solutions include, and I'm starting from the above, Consortium, which is a national SOC, which enables creating a national level situation picture regarding the cyber situation picture, and looking for incidents from different organizations in the national level, combining, fusing all these incidents and detecting attacks that cannot be detected when looking in each organization separately. The side scan is a vulnerability and scanner, which enables to assess the risk of any specific organization and all of the organizations, again, in the national level. The sideshare enables sharing information about cyber threat intelligence and maybe also cyber attacks between organizations in a secure manner. Milestone is our forensic system, which enables malware and content forensic investigation. Time range is our cyber range, which enables creating cyber scenarios and training the cyber defenders with actual scenarios. And in this way, they can train better, be prepared for actual cyber attacks. And we have the traits, which is a model-based threat and risk assessment, which enables building the model from the beginning of the design of the system, looking at the possible cyber risk and managing this risk through the development lifecycle. Again, from designing, developing, integration, and also after that can be done also all of them with these tools that called traits. Next, please. So to be able to provide an end-to-end solution in the national level, we established and are leading a consortium that is called Israeli Cyber Companies Consortium, which enables us to bring relevant solutions from different companies, large ones and also startups, to be able to provide specific requirements that each customer may have, and again to provide a holistic solution that may require either costs from large companies or maybe a specific solution from smaller ones. We have also, no, not yet, please. We have also established a special consortium for aviation, which provides the same for the aviation system. It's called Israeli Aviation Cyber Companies Consortium. Okay, here are some examples of R&D programs that we implemented in the last years. Two of them from Horizon 2020. One is called Dogana, which is about social engineering. And the other one is Hermenut, which is about risk management, cyber risk management in an organization. And the other one is with BERT, which is Israeli American Foundation. And we provided a drone-based search and rescue for first responders. Okay, and now we'll talk about a little bit about our R&D fields of interest. Cyber threat collaboration platform. I mentioned this as a platform we already have, and we have some ideas how to add some other capabilities to this platform, so it will be more relevant and we'll have more capabilities. The cyber range, again, we have the platform, and the R&D idea is making it tailored to the needs of an organization. So when training the cyber defenders, it will be relevant to the specific needs of the organization and not only general attack scenarios. Utility attack detection. This means that we have an R&D program for looking at different layers in utility communication and detecting attacks by combining these layers. Autonomous SOC means that we want to look at the behavior of an analyst in the SOC to see how he handles incidents coming to SOC and automating this process. So we will need less SOC analyzer, and we will have only the, let's say, problematic incidents will be handled by analysts, and all the other ones can be done automatically. Concerning the vulnerability scanner that I mentioned, here also we want to develop capabilities so this scanner will be more tailored and more relevant for each organization. Predictive analysis is a capability of the NSOC, which means looking at different sources, for instance, the scanning, the threat intelligence, and the incidents in each organization, and analyze all this information to provide predictive analysis relevant for that organization. About the forensic, we intend to combine the malware and the content forensic in one system that we also will be portable and can be brought to the field and do the both missions in one system. And the last one, IPS, attack detection. Recently, we won a tender in Israel for establishing a cyber lab for ITS, intelligence transformation systems. In this lab, vendors will be able to bring their product and test it against cyber attacks. The lab will be configured according to the tested system. And in this way, when the vendor goes to the market, it can have some kind of the testing that was done on this on their system, some kind of a certificate that it was checked with in this lab, and we are going to leverage this lab and to develop a system that will be able to detect attacks not only in the vehicle, but also in the communication and in the infrastructure and the mass transportation, etc. And this is the idea of this capability mentioned, ITS attack detection. I think that's it. The next slide is my contact. You can contact me, and of course through Ishai. And if you have any questions, you can send it through the Q&A, and I will be happy to answer it now or later.
Okay, thanks, David. Yes, we will have a Q&A session later, so you can all write questions in the chat. There was a little noise in your speech, but I think we were able to understand what you're saying. I think that you will have a great, with these capacities, you will probably have great role in any consortium that we choose to build. Next to introduce is Dr. Valerio Pascola from Intel Munich. Please.
So first of all, good morning. I hope you can see and hear me well.
Yes.
Yes, great. So good morning. My name is Valerio Frascola. As said, I'm based in Munich and I work for Intel. Actually, I spend 1 minute to introduce myself, so it's clear, let's say, which kind of role I play in the company and why you might want to reach out to me later on after this presentation or this event that Ishai and Argentum swiftly organized. So I'm a director of research and innovation. I take care in EMEA, so including Israel, Europe and plus Israel, European Union, I better say, about funded projects. I run the internal assessment procedure that will grant a group the allowance to enter a funded project. You know that Intel is a quite big company, 110,000 people worldwide. We are covering a lot of different research topics and product lines. And today I'm not pitching you with a marketing presentation. I have only 3 slides, very much on what I wanted to discuss. But the message from my side is, even though Intel has a plethora of products in a European funded project, only the R&D people based in Europe can participate to those projects. And therefore only the expertise of the subset of Intel personnel in the world that is based in Europe can be eligible to enter this kind of calls. So I'm not telling you today how good is the product line of Intel. I will specifically focus on the areas, and these are mostly research areas that my colleagues based in Europe would like to work with and mate with other partners. On myself, I'm very active in several associations at the European level, the 5GIA, for example. I'm work package lead of some activities related to verticals in 5G and moving towards 6G. Network 2020 is another association I'm very active with. There also I'm co-chairing a similar work group. I'm active in IoT. I've been elected recently as co-chair of a work group dealing with research and partnership, and blah, blah. I'm a member of board of directors of the BDVA Association, Big Data Value. So I'm telling this to tell that I actually have a quite broad ecosystem around myself based in Europe on different topics. And internally, I also run a set of activities. I'm a mentor, I'm a coach, and I'm running an innovation program for the whole company. So today I represent not only the team I'm part of, which is called Intel Labs, as you see at the bottom of the slide. This is the 700 plus people worldwide dealing with research, pure research. Our customers are not externals, but are the other business units of Intel. And there is one slide where we list what our focus areas are. So if you can go with the next slide, I just wanted to make a little story of where we are. So basically, you might all know that the multi-annual financial framework set aside by the European Commission with lots of effort and several rounds of approvals in parliaments at the member state level is 1.1 trillion euro, so 1 million of billion. It's a mind-boggling amount of money. And you know, this is put on the table for disparate and different research activities. And this huge amount of money is split in 7 years. The 7 years of the framework program. On the right side, you see the amount of money that the European Commission has set aside for these framework programs. And this FP is the way that the European Commission triggers research activity and collaborative efforts in the ecosystem in Europe. So you see, we started with FP1 in '84. The first program lasted a small number of years, and moving along the frame programs up until FP7 that ended in 2013, 56 billion. No, please wait a moment to push. I'll tell you. Thanks. 56, and you will see that in Horizon 2020, which is the framework program that just ended at the end of 2020 last year, there was a significant increase, and even more so in Horizon Europe, the forthcoming to start program, it's almost 100 billion. Yes, please now show the exactly. So the final approved budget is slightly south of 100 billion, though it's a huge amount of money. Please go next. And you might all know that actually the call for proposal are not yet made public. Rumors has it that they will be made public in May 2021, so in 1 month from now. And so as soon as these calls are made public, we will know the final status of the call text. That's what we have to discuss today. Also, you know, drafts are around, but these are drafts. So the draft of the first 2 years of the program will be made public in May. And once we know what that is, actually, we can already start discussing among ourselves, because drafts are considered 85% stable, but you never know, the 15% changes can always happen. Okay, move next, please. So in a nutshell, on the left side, you see Horizon 2020, the previous work program, and on the right side, you see Horizon Europe, the new work program. This just to tell you that basically the structure has been kept more or less the same. So if you have experience in previous calls, you shouldn't be, let's say, much not at your ease, because the structure is quite similar. There are, I'm referring to the figure on the right, 3 main pillars of different research activities, plus additional horizontal other activities we are not touching today. It's very complex, the structure you might see if you dig into the details. And this huge amount of money is split among all the pillars, okay? So there is the framework program, which is split in 3 main pillars. Each pillar is split, if you look at the pillar in the center, in clusters. Each cluster deals with a specific area of topics, and today we are focusing on one of those. And if you open the cluster, there is a set of calls. Each call has its own budget, timeline, focus area, and so on. I'm telling this because I do not know which kind of audience we have today, so I just want to spend a couple of minutes so that we are all on the same boat. And so this Matryoshka style of approach is needed because without this hierarchy, this huge amount of money could not be dealt with properly. On the one hand, this is a pro. On the other hand, this is a con because the structure is quite complex. And if you had the time to look at the draft availables of the call of just one clusters, this is a document of probably of more than 200 pages. And just for the first 2 years, you might easily have more than 100 calls. So it's very useful what Argentum does for us and for the ecosystem to cluster together and to highlight what are the issues, what could be worth working on. So I would say it's a service that it's sometimes needed, especially if you are an SME and you don't have the time to deal into all these specific calls related things. Okay, you can go to the next slide, please. And I will tell you when to move. I have listed the topics of interest for Horizon Europe of Intel. I'm representing all Intel, as I said, but specifically I'm representing Intel Labs. And I'm listing here now the Intel Labs preferred topic. And when I talk about them, please bear in mind that these are research topics. So we are not interested to enter in a proposal or in a project being the integrator or being equipment provider. We would like rather to enter working on specific research topics. Let's start with neuromorphic computing. You might know that Intel has a specific chip called Loihi. And Loihi is one flavor of this chip. It's a scalable approach. You can have a very small or a very complex one, depending if you focus IoT or normal functionality, or if you focus the server domain. And this chip is specifically built to run some neuromorphic software and is targeted to others, some specific scenarios and use cases. It's not a general purpose chip, but for those areas that are in focus, for example, event cameras that can have different scenario of use, this is quite competitive to out-of-the-shelf product. This is not a product, it's a research chip that Intel can ship if you are a university or a research center for free. If you are an SME or an industry, there should be a very small fee to pay, but that's nothing compared to what you can get out of it. And we also offer a set of SDK and the way that you can use it. So it would be good for you to jump, if you want to jump on this research topic, our chip might be something that you want to consider. Also because there are not so many chips in the world that you can use and that are specifically tuned to work on a neuromorphic topic. Please click on the button. The second topic is HPC, high performance computing, which is the thing that exists now. But the thing is, we would like to work on HPC related topics moving towards quantum computing. You might have read from the news that Intel has quite an active stream of activities on quantum computing, mostly happening in US. But these streams of activity root themselves in what is needed at the moment to solve some of the key problem that HPC cannot cope with at the moment. And I'm referring to Earth observation or weather forecast, this very complex and number crunching application where the more power you have, the better it is, but it's never enough. Because anyway, you know, the climate is changing year by year, and all the models that we have been leaning on in these last 15, 20 years are not fitting anymore. My wife and I experience this each time we look at the German weather forecast. In previous time, we were sure that the next 2 to 3 years, they would be 90% accurate. And we see these days that with 4 hours of difference, even they cannot cope with what's going on outside. So this is a message. The climate is changing faster than we thought. And the models that underpin the forecast of this weather are not working anymore. We need a different approach. We might need a different computation model. That's why I'm mentioning quantum computing. It's not something for tomorrow. It's something for the end of this decade if we want to have commercial solid proposals, but we have to start working now in order to get around 2025, 2026 to something tangible that can have a market in 2028, 2029. So it's a long way, but we need to pave it. And there will be lots of codes in Europe, Horizon Europe, that deal with HPC moving towards quantum computing. Okay, please, next palette. So,
sorry.
Yep. Yeah. Next we go with safety of systems. So the safety topic is quite important in the aviation, in the military, and also in satellite domains. And safety might entail different kind of activity. We, especially in Germany, it's a small team. We are less than 10 people, but focus on 2 or 3 subsection of the safety. And we are more interested to a very complex system and how you can, let's say, from a pre-hardware software co-design split, understand which kind of safety measure you can put in place, which kind of safety approaches might be for devising for a specific area of implementation. And then thinking about robotics, I'm thinking in Germany, especially about Industry 4.0. So the future, the factory of the future, you might have heard all of these hypes, but safety of those systems is quite important. And we are especially looking at what happens if there is a hardware failure. How can we, let's say, make the best out of the bad situation with software approaches that can leverage as much as possible on existing still working hardware, especially if we made that existing working hardware with an FPGA, so something that is reconfigurable on the fly, that exactly goes to tame where the problem is at hardware level. Yeah, please go to the next one. Safety and security most of the time go together, so one fits after the other. At security at system level, and I'm not referring here at security of the protocols, communication protocols. My background, I have a PhD in electronic engineering, so my background, of course, is in wireless domain, especially cellular wireless domain. I had been working a lot in protocol stacks, MAC layer, RRLC, and then moving into the non-access stratum of the protocols. And I had been attending for 7 years also standards, 3GPP and ETSI. But that's not exactly the focus here. This is more the focus of a distributed system, especially when AI topics are dealt with. How can we guarantee a certain level of security according to several KPI that you have to fulfill according to the scenario you work in? And there are lots of activities that still are outstanding in order to guarantee a certain security level. You know that most of the time security is best effort. We would like to move from best effort to guarantee security and safety levels. Okay, please go to next one. Hardware accelerator and configurable hardware. This is quite cool. You might know that Intel is going to in the close future have CPUs and GPUs and reconfigurable hardware together in a single chip. But I'm not talking about product today, as I promised. I want to say that actually you might know that in Ireland we have quite some number of people that are working on FPGA. This comes from the Altera acquisition that Intel did, I think, 2.5 years ago, and they would be very willing. This is a business unit, it's not Intel Labs, so these are my colleagues outside of my hierarchy, but I'm representing also them. As I said, I represent Intel EMEA wide, so also other business unit, because they are very keen in entering an interesting proposal where FPGA can be made use of. Okay, please, next. So after we go with autonomous driving, of course, being based in Germany, we cannot do without autonomous driving and the intelligent transport system and everything that has to do with a thing that moves by itself, among other things. It could be a drone, it could be a car, it could be a train, it could be something that tries to move itself autonomously. You might know that Intel acquired Mobileye, which is an Israeli-based company. You should be familiar with it more than I am. And they are very active in proposing some cutting edge in the world propositions for autonomous driving. In funded project, we are not pushing for that because we say that we work on research. So we are more looking at the algorithm point of view, or at what are the KPIs that one needs to consider when you want to deploy a new algorithm in a quite complex setup that the autonomous X scenario always entails. You can go to the next one. I should have 3 more. Robotics and control by remote. The same team that we have in Karlsruhe that is currently working on autonomous driving has its expertise root in robotics. Some of the skills needed for autonomous driving a specific scenario are coming also from robotics and control by remote, and therefore we would like to leverage on them to move a bit more into the robotics domain and move a bit out of the autonomous driving, because we claim kind of that autonomous driving for pure research, lots of things has been fixed. It's now a matter of economy and it's a matter of deployment, but from the sheer point of view of research, probably robotics gives us a bit more of breadth. Okay, please go to next. Of course, how can I not mention AI and machine learning? Artificial intelligence and machine learning is basically an enabling technology for everything. And we have more than 15 people in Munich, close to my office, where algorithms are dealt with on specific application domain, especially control of robots. We won also a research prize for a robot that moves itself, and you can kick it. It has 4 legs and it manages to come back to movement even though you go on kicking him all the time. So that's quite a unique thing. This is just an example of AI applied to robotics, but there are other fields where AI and the subset of it, which we call machine learning, might be of use for forthcoming research project. Please, next one. Advanced audio for equipment defect assessment. This is also something interesting. So listening to the noise done by something that is moving or acting, you can foresee if there is a problem. So you have, it's based on AI, of course. So there is a pattern and a model. You check the current model with what you heard before, and you can tell if there is something that might be broken in next month or days. And the last bullet is edge and IoT moving towards 6G architecture. You might see that even though 5G has just been deployed since 1 year and few months, commercially everyone is talking about 6G as if beyond 5G would not exist. So we also do that because otherwise we are old style. And therefore we say edge at the moment is, I still think that edge is not only at the moment, but in the next 3 to 4 years, still a topic where research can have something to say, especially moving towards these 6G architectures. Whatever they will be, we will see. We do not yet know. Okay. If you move to my last slide, I just want to cherry pick. This is my very last slide. This is my last slide. I want to cherry pick only 5 topics that we are going to discuss. I'm not entering into them now. You have the slide set. You can look at them later on. But in this specific cluster, we would like to focus on mainly, in addition to other topics, it's not an exhaustive list, of course. If you have an idea, come to us, we will assess them. But we would like to work on security assurance for software and hardware, for example, fuzzing, privacy and security for decentralized machine learning. And this decentralized is key. This entails also edge application. This entails a very complex system that is scalable to the border of your universe, whatever your universe is, moving into the center and moving to a central approach. So we have edge, fog, deep edge, depending on what you like, and the privacy and security of all these approaches is still outstanding to be settled. Disaggregated data centers and security. This is also another hot topic. We would like to work on microservices and FAS and how this concept, which is slightly declined a different way if you look at FAS or microservice, has to do with security. And finally, trustworthiness. If especially we work on a funded project, we might have a public entity that would like to take our goodies out of the project, and the trustworthiness of especially a public authority, being this a water or being this energy supplier, it's quite important moving into a software-based world. That's it. I hope I managed to give you some, let's say, interesting ideas where we can work together. Come back to me if you have questions, and I'm happy to talk with you all about what we have been discussing so far. Ishai, back to you.
Thank you very much. It was a very nice recap, very clear. I think there is a lot of potential, especially when your interests are kind of matching the course that we have selected so far. I want to go a little deeper. Thank you for showing also this overview of Horizon Europe. This is a very good for our mixed audience that some of them know Horizon 2020, new Horizon 2020 very well, and some of them don't. As Valerio mentioned, in this 1.1 terabillion of euros for the next 7 years, you have Horizon Europe, and inside Horizon Europe, you have three pillars. And in the medium pillar, you have the clusters. This is the majority of the funding in Horizon Europe. I think over 50% of the budget will go there. I think even more over 60. And there are 7 clusters. There are 6 clusters actually, and we are discussing today the civil society and security clusters. If you are interested in hearing more about other clusters, we have other events coming up soon about mobility and about health. So under the civil society and security clusters, you have several destinations, and they are aimed to promote the EU policy priorities as listed here. We will obviously focus on the security and the cybersecurity aspects, although if we find it useful, we can go even to directions of risk reductions and resilience and prevention and preparedness for crisis. The strategies that we should be related to, these are all policy papers that the EU is publishing. We will focus on the EU cybersecurity strategy, but this is also related. This cluster is also relating to the counterterrorism, to the migration and asylum, climate adaptation, and maritime security. Again, we will focus on the cybersecurity, and the impact areas that we are dealing with is the secure and cybersecure digital technology, among the others. In this cluster, as a general approach, we have identified what should be building blocks in our consortiums. From the text of the call, we gathered that you need to meet the capability requirements, which it means that you need to develop new knowledge. So it means that you need to integrate a lot of research into your projects, and you will need to have new technologies and new solutions. All calls will need to involve end users, stakeholders, and practitioners, the actual entities or organizations that will end up using the technology. So they need to be involved from the first go. We will need to contribute to wider needs-driven development cycles. So we need to gather new methodologies for development of solutions, and there is an uptake strategy is needed. So we want to actually involve as many for-profit companies in these projects, because they have more capacity of uptaking the results of the projects and taking them to the market. We will this next and very important aspect in this cluster is to ensure ethical outcomes. We need to take care of the human factors and the social context. It means that we need to have some entities that are social science researchers in the consortium. So it's not only tech, it has to take the people in perspective. We must respect fundamental rights. Privacy is an example, but also safety and security are all also there. So we need to address citizens, communities in all our projects. Social innovation is welcomed, and as I said, social science should be integrated in the projects. So these are the building blocks that we will make sure that we need to make sure we have addressed in the project, as besides the technology development and the idea. As I mentioned, each cluster is broken down into several destinations. In cluster number 3, we have 6 destinations. We have highlighted the cybersecurity, but there are other. There is a reason why we highlighted cybersecurity as Argentum. We decided to focus on this because in Israel we have a very good cybersecurity infrastructure, and we have knowledge and links to cybersecurity companies and the new ideas that stem up from this very bustling ecosystem. Also, the cybersecurity calls, I will relate to this, were matched our search priorities, and so we decided to focus on that. So the selection criteria that we used is that the deadline will give us enough time to build a consortium and prepare a consortium. We are choosing either RIA, research and innovation actions, and IA, innovation actions for our cause. We are not addressing the CSA, the coordination and support actions, and we are addressing causes that have budgets anywhere from 3 million euros to 10 million euros. We don't want to deal with the larger ones at this point. We are dealing sometimes with larger ones, but not in this round. We also looked for projects that does not require to build on results from previously funded projects, because we understand that the competition from these funded projects will be too high. So we want to go where we have considerably clean slate and we can compete as even. And we are looking for projects that more than one project can be funded. And we are looking for projects that are dealing with digital security, cybersecurity, and privacy as core part of the projects. And we find, and after these restrictions, we find the following. We found 4 cores that are of interest. The first one is Horizon. It's the dynamic business continuity and recovery methodologies for multi-level cybersecurity. It kinds of, I think both Intel and ELTA will find themselves happy there. But I hope that the others attending this event will be happy there too. We are looking at a total budget of 21.5 million, and per project budget is going from 3 to 5 million. So 4 to 7 projects will be selected. This is a research and innovation action, which means that it leans more towards the research and less towards the actual development of products. That fits Intel's agenda very well. And we expect the technologies to reach technology readiness level of 4. Rule of thumb, we are foreseeing a consortium of 10 to 20 participants. The cooperation with running old projects is suggested, it's not a must, but it can bring good points. So they want us to create technology that can be self-learning disaster recovery. It's for business continuity in the critical sectors. So in utilities, water, energy, etc. They want us to provide mechanisms for information exchange, be more prepared for disasters, and to allow business continuity. I said that. So new methodologies, services, tools for accelerating self-recoveries, Focus on critical sectors and telecommunications. I forgot to mention. We need it to be AI based, the self healing. We need to include advanced CTI and SA, cyber threat intelligence and situation awareness. And we need to take into account human factors to be considered, and we need to address, of course, the risks and the importance to the society. So this is number one. I think it's an interesting one. I think we can build a nice story here, but we need to see if we have uh, enough enough innovation when we come to address it. The next one is that we pinpointed. I think it's a very interesting one. It's the improved security in open source and open specification hardware for connected device. It's to bring better security for edge devices, for IoT, for this world of connected devices, the factories of the futures, and everything related to that. We are looking at a budget of 18 million, and per project it will be from 3 to 5. It means that will be 3 to 6 projects selected. Here, participation of SMEs is strongly encouraged, and they want us to develop. They want us the scope of this call should develop verifiable cryptography. I think that's a good place to introduce quantum computers. Not sure, but this is for Valerio to assess. I'm not sure how much it is ready. Mechanisms to mitigate hardware vulnerabilities, do security auditing, security testing in restricted environments. This means environments when you have very small memory and computing powers. Secure firmware updates and patching, very important, and multi-factor authentication for devices, and securing and upgrading the connected devices within the life cycle. This is, I think it's a very interesting call and could be very creative in addressing this. AI for cybersecurity reinforcement. This is an obvious call. AI for cybersecurity. I'm guessing a lot of competition over this one. Seems like something that a lot of companies are trying to deal with. But still might be very relevant because this is a very central, I don't know, trend in this activity. So we are looking for AI-based methods and tools to improve the system robustness, the system resilience, and the response. And more importantly, I think counter the ways AI can be used for attacking. And then the targeted users should be cybersecurity experts. So these technologies will be somehow integrated in the SOCs and cybersecurity operation centers of organizations. We need to use and contribute to European data pools, ensuring data quality and homogeneity of data. This is not very easy. Actually, I made a project only about this, and this was like a 4 million euro project just doing that. And then we need to identify and document relevant trade-offs between the effectiveness and AI and the fundamental rights that might be impaired. Okay, and that's this call. The last one that we pinpointed was the scalable privacy-preserving technologies for cross-border federated computation in Europe. This is more related to how we preserve the privacy in technologies. Here again, this is the research and innovation action with 3 to 5 project to be selected. Here I don't expect a lot of competition. Still, there is a competition like any European project, but from previous year I saw that similar areas have not gathered so many proposals. Here again, SMEs participation is encouraged. Supply and demand side, involvement of supply and demand side is encouraged, and legal expertise should be incorporated. And we are the scope of this project is to provide homomorphic encryption, secure multi-party computation, differential privacy applicability in real world, validation of piloting for privacy preserving, and multi-preserving computation in realistic federate data infrastructures. I like this one because I'm guessing it will be less competitive, and the chances of success will be slightly higher than the AI one. So it is good for us. The next steps, actually, how do we go from here? First, after this event, we will ask all the attendees to fill in a questionnaire that we will send each and every one of you separately. First of all, asking if you are willing to participate in these calls. If you are willing to participate, what will be your desired role? Do you want to take a very central part of this proposal? You want to lead the concept, be a major part in the decision making, or you just want to contribute a very specific idea, technology, or service? Then again, what is the expertise that you plan to bring in this project? And then if you prefer one of the other topics, or if you are interested in a different topic that we didn't mention. If you got the drafts of Horizon 2020 yet, then by this time we are hoping that Horizon Europe will will officially publish the calls, and then we will be smarter because we want to finally select a topic by then. As Valerio mentioned, we right now have drafts that are 85% true, but there will be changes. There were changes in the drafts from October to today. Some topics were added, some topics were removed, and we've seen that budgets change at the last minute sometime. So we want to have the selection of topic when we know for sure what will be the final version of the cluster of the calls, and then we will select the core participant according to the answers that you will provide to this to the questionnaire, and then we will start to think about the project outline. What are the objectives? We will gather the group of the core participants and think about the objectives, the goals, the needed expertise for the consortium, and everything that will be needed in order to start reach out to the relevant participants to complete the consortium, and then to transfer the proposal to proposal preparation. It means collection of materials from all the participants, drafting and reviewing the proposal, do internal red team here in our company, proofreading, design, and submission. So this is what we plan to do. The deadlines for the proposals are September 8th. It seems like a lot of time, but it's never enough. Let's say it like this. In the last days, you wished you had one more month, but so we try to start as early as possible from the actual publication of the calls. And that's it. If you have any questions, even Valerio and David, you can add.
Actually, I have a question.
Yes.
Are we going to only one submission, or maybe we can could be maybe more than one and focus on two.
If we have the answer is that if we have enough participants replying to build two consortiums, we don't want them to be the same. Then we will submit more. Like if we find this opportunity, we will do more.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I have a question, very interesting question from Kim Chandler McDonald. Do you have to be an EU-based organization to participate in the consortium? Okay, so this is the funding is open for EU member states, and there is and also associated countries. Associated countries to Horizon 2020, well, Switzerland, Norway, Iceland, all the Balkan area, Serbia, Ukraine, and Israel as well. But due to the delay in decisions of the European Union and publications of the draft, annexation and association agreements with all the associated countries are not yet signed. So the European, the program is saying, and the NCPs are saying that non-EU participants will be able, associated countries, all the countries that were associated with Horizon 2020 will be able to submit proposals, but they will not be able to actually get the grant until the government is signing an accession agreement. It seems like UK will be the first one to sign it because they already agreed on the annexation to Horizon 2020 in the Brexit agreement. The two next countries to be added are Israel and Switzerland that are already in discussions. And the others, I don't know about them, but it seems like everyone eventually will be there. We advise to submit if you're coming from a company that was associated with Horizon 2020 before. We want to include you in the consortium, and in case of very low chances that the country will not be assessed to Horizon Europe, we will need to find another solution. Valerio, was I right?
May I just add one thing,
Yes.
Vishay, to what you said, which is very correct. The question EU-based organization probably needs some attention. You do not need to be EU-based. Intel is not EU-based. You need to have an R&D in EU. So if you have an R&D in Ireland or whatever other countries that Ishai mentioned, you are eligible for applying. You do not need to be EU-based. Intel is not EU-based, but Intel has R&D in Europe. That's probably the thing that you need to know. Otherwise, you might be misled by being based in EU.
Yes, and also if I can just add the final note, you need to have a legal entity somewhere in Europe. So it doesn't have to be based, your headquarters doesn't have to be based in Europe or associated countries. Actually, countries from low income, companies from low income countries can participate and get grants from Horizon Europe. But countries from, for example, African countries, poor countries in the, I don't know where, don't want to offend anyone, can apply and can get the grant. But United States, Canada, Japan, Korea are not eligible because they are coming from high income. Okay, we have another question. Thanks very much. Okay. I think this was the only question. That's nice. It means that either people were not listening or we had we provided all the details. So so I will. Someone is asking if we want to clarify it. Well, I didn't understand the the note. Okay, so I want to thank all of you for being here. It has been lovely. David, Valerio, I look forward to work with you on this journey, and hopefully this will end up nicely with an approval of a project and good execution. So thank you. Amelia, yes, we will send the presentation to participants. Don't worry. Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.
Goodbye.
Bye.